Let's get into the layers now.
Lairs are actually kind of simple.
They are simple.
So very simple. Basically Atlantis and Olympus.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Yeah, so
way of
they're
putting it.
actually Greek themed, which is really cool. That's kind of like a cool fun fact about the Lairs. They're very Greek themed, so they got the marble statues of the storm giant, their dad grabbing the milk.
They're like Greek palaces. So
yeah,
they got
Greek.
like lots of pillars, very high ceilings, that sort of stuff.
And like Greek architecture, so they have like the Greek temple looking buildings.
Right.
But where they preside is normally very tall mountains in the storms and the clouds, or very below in the oceans.
Yep.
So basically Atlantis and Olympus, as we say again. And storm giants, they got like libraries, they got all sorts. If you want magic items, go to a storm giant. They're set. They even got like artifacts and stuff. It's like crazy. So artifacts are like the Infinity Stones of D&D. Like, they got one of those probably somewhere and they're safe. But yeah, so they're chilling there. They got all their magic stuff. They got like their bedroom. They got Greek.
Yeah, it's a civilization. It's just a civilization, but everything's huge.
It's big Greece.
Big Greece, and so yeah, you said Mount Olympus and Atlantis. Yeah, those are the two. So they can be castles in the sky, mountain peaks, palaces at the bottom of the ocean.
Temples in deserts.
I've not heard that one.
High.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
High mountains and deserts. They like high places.
Okay, I haven't heard that one. But no, so they, in general, they live at the top of a mountain or the bottom of the ocean, and these two have something in common, and that's they're very inaccessible to other mortals, right? That's kind of the point. They don't really want to be mingling with the lesser civilizations. Now, again, they don't want to hurt the other civilizations. They just
don't really want visitors.
Yeah, they don't want visitors. So if you were going to try to get to a storm giant's civilization, that's going to be very tough. Very, very tough. Because you're going to have to either go above the clouds to find them up there or to the literal bottom of the ocean where they're living down there.
They're just chilling.
Yeah, and again, they can live... If living at the top has to do with like them having feather fall and levitate and that sort of stuff, because if they were to like fall off their giant civilization, they can like feather fall down, so they don't die.
I also kind of imagine like they're kind of like Zeus. Like, they walk out to their balcony and someone just says, "Frick, storm giants." He's like, "All right, buddy, go boom."
Someone just sneezes over the thing and just lightning bolts someone. Yeah, and then on the Atlantis side, from what I was saying, this links to their breathing underwater, their movement underwater. They are no different underwater, so they have no quarrels with living at the bottom of the ocean because that works just as fine for them. You know what I mean? So either the top or the bottom of the world is basically where they're at.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. So now we're getting into their combat strategies. I have prepared this section for a while. It's pretty basic, but
you've prepared it for a while.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I got a special book which is all about the combat strategies of monsters.
Right.
Stuff. So, storm giants are very unique for giants. If you get in a fight with them, it's going to be a hell of a fight. So basically, first of all, they are melee attackers. So all giants want to punch things and stab things and kick things, mostly kick. They want you to be their soccer ball. Yeah, but basically they are brutes. They got very high strength and constitution. They're going to be using that a lot, and they will destroy every saving throw that you throw at them. And storm giants love to use their lightning strike. Freaking, that's their their move. Like if they ever play Mortal Kombat, they would just keep throwing that.
They're going to spam it.
They're going to spam lightning strike, god dang it. And when they do lightning strike, they want to hit the people that are next to each other. So they want to hit two people at a time.
Yeah, because it's like a chain. It's like it's an area effect.
Yeah, it is an area effect and very high damaging. Sorry. But yes, they want to be hurling that a lot. Their rock throw, they barely use it. And it's actually in the lore because they think throwing rocks is primitive. So they actually might have a bow, which is pretty interesting, pretty cool. But yeah, so they'll have a bow. But when they don't have their lightning strike, they will use their melee weapon. Their sword or their club or anything else. Melee attack. So they will be they'll go into combat and they'll swing their sword around. But this is what really makes storm giants pretty fun to fight. So with their spell, Control Weather. They can, if they're in combat, if they want to be like elusive ninja storm giant, they'll make a high fog.
Okay.
And if you read in chapter 5 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, it talks about surviving the elements. So there's a whole list of what the elements, like what weather stuff does. So there's a whole stuff. So fog will inhibit your players. They're blind, basically. They can't see like 20 feet ahead of them.
Okay.
Unless they got some super sight.
Trying to picture a storm giant sneaking around.
Well, not sneaking around, but he would cast fog so people have no idea where, like, it's hard to hit him, basically.
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty rare. What they normally do is cast a storm. Duh.
Yeah, just a crazy, like, storm.
Crazy winds, crazy stuff. And if there's crazy winds, that means no flying. Now, the wind will put you back on the ground, and it'll make it very hard to hit things and see things. So it just makes combat even worse. So if it gets to the case, they might even have disadvantage on attacks against the giant.
Yeah.
The giant has a high AC and a high HP pull of health. But if you do critically injure a giant, if you bring it down to like 92 health, the giant will surrender. He will not risk his life. He will surrender and use his charisma. He will negotiate with you. Yeah. Which I think is really cool. Not a lot of monsters or creatures do that. Mm-hmm. They normally flee or they fight to the death. But storm giants, if they think you're rational players and not just awful people, he will negotiate with you. So I think that is really cool.
Yeah.
But then he'll zap you again.
I guess they're like the top of the... Like, they're like the more wise.
They are very
giants.
wise and they're smart. So, like, they will...
They're not just going to, like, let themselves get over-angered and then cause themselves to die. Like, they'll get angry, but if it's going to kill them, they'll sober up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they will negotiate if they're hurt badly.
Okay, so just in summary of what you said, tell me if I missed anything. They're going to start with lightning and pretty much do that whenever possible.
They're spamming that.
Yeah, they're spamming it. When lightning is not available, they will charge in and brute force with melee. The only times they will use their rock throw is if they absolutely have nothing else to do, but a lot of times they'll have a bow, which means their rock throw will be completely unnecessary.
I just imagine that scene from Game of Thrones where that one giant
freaking
bow go, and then like that dude just went straight
that was a good scene.
Into the atmosphere.
A good moment there. Poor guy, but yeah. And then they will also, while doing all of this, have a storm around them using control weather. And if they want to be sneaky, instead of a storm, it'll be fog.
Or even a blizzard.
Blizzard, anything.
So they can control all weather.
Yeah, whatever they feel like, whatever they're in the mood for. And then you also said if they're losing, they will negotiate and try to surrender. And then if for whatever reason your PCs are like gonna kill them, they will run then. But they're gonna try to negotiate before they surrender. Yeah, Ethan's sick again.
Yeah, if I sound horrible, I'm sorry. I got the plague.
He's always sick.
In medieval times, there was always the plague.
Yes. You would have died. Okay. But I got some things to add. But yeah, that was good. That was like pretty much the core of their combat strategies. And so I guess the stuff I want to add is to make giants, specifically storm giants, but this could work for all giants really, just more interesting combat. Because if you think about it, it's very like they're just a giant brute that deals damage to you, right?
Give him a wand, just like a human wand, like a magic item. It's like freaking tiny, so he has like a little toothpick. He's like, get back.
Okay.
Just shoots like little.
Well, yeah, that would be a comedic campaign there. But here's some stuff you can do to that makes complete sense with the storm giant, makes sense with really any giant, but especially storm giants because they're intelligent. That can make your battle with the storm giant more fun for your players and more interesting, and not just this giant guy who swings his sword around, right? All right, so the first one is to use your terrain. I mean, that's always a good idea, but with giants, you can especially make terrain interesting. And so this can include like destroying the buildings or or start like breaking down the cavern that you're in or something like that. Like bring the roof down on top of your players if it's possible, that kind of thing. You can also start pulling down boulders. Maybe you cause a mini avalanche by just like grabbing some earth and just pulling, and then maybe you cause something to happen.
Or like if you're underwater, he like just slams, like he like
Underwater's harder, but yeah.
Underwater, he just blows bubbles, and then it's just like a little like current, and you just go. He like.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Like he pushes water. I don't know how he would do that.
Underwater's a little harder. And then in just one more, because I have written down, is you can like just kick stuff at people. Like maybe it's just part of the like, if someone's hiding behind a log, just run up to the log and kick it.
Punt it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. All right. So that's the first thing. Use terrain. Also use variant attacks. So although he does have a greatsword, instead of describing it like he's swinging his greatsword over and over again, make it like stomps, kicks, and maybe even like grabs. Like so, it's just you're imagining when you're in the storm giant's head and you're embodying the storm giant as the DM. Imagine you're fighting like a bunch of rats. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just going to swing your sword all over the place.
Also, I feel like a greatsword would be a horrible weapon for a giant. Like, for, like, humans.
Yeah, against humans, right, because they're tiny.
Like a scythe.
Yeah, like, the giant's probably just going to walk up to the humans and start stomping. And so you can do that. You can still make it great sword damage if you want, or lessen it if you want. But give it that flavor that's more like you're fighting a giant and you're not just fighting a giant thing with a sword as if you're gonna like parry it or something. You know what I mean? Like it's a giant.
Or give him like a club or a mace. Also allow him to use magic items if he has any. Make it harder.
Yes. Okay, so here's some homebrew you can do if you want to make it a little more interesting. I'm just gonna say it here instead of extra ideas because it's just very relevant. So these are just some things that basically you can create the damage for, create the rules around, and this is stuff that would probably happen and would make the giant encounter fun. I'm just gonna go down the list. 1, getting punted. That's just funny, right? The giant runs up and just boom, and just punts the player.
You're
like,
in the soccer ball now.
Yeah, like what happens? That just sounds funny, right? Another one is being crushed in the giant's hand. That could deal damage. Like if they pick you up and just start crushing, like that would be a cool move there. Being swallowed, that would be rough.
Would a storm giant? Really
I don't think a storm giant would.
A hill giant would.
But maybe if it's like really desperate, I don't know. It might just bite you, or maybe it grabs you and then just like tries to bite your head off. Like these are like rough things.
I feel like a hill giant would do that.
Okay, maybe a storm giant wouldn't do that one. Let's move on.
Also, he would think, if he's inside my stomach, he's gonna stab me. And my belly
probably.
Feel good, yeah.
Okay, another one is being thrown or used as a weapon. So, like, imagine someone just, like, the giant picks up one player and just throws it at another player.
So, the Kraken has a little fling. A little grab fling.
Yeah, so just borrow it from some other creature if it has that already. This one would be if it falls for whatever reason, or perhaps if the storm giant is killed, have that be like a dex save, or the body falls on you, and that's like fun. Bad.
And you get stuck.
Yeah, and then these are two things that would make it would just make it a little harder, and I think makes sense. One is make grapples restrain. So like if the storm giant picks you up, like it's not just like grappling you, it's literally holding your entire body with its hand. You know what I mean? So like you should be restrained as well. You shouldn't be able to like attack necessarily. And then dark vision I would give to like the deep ocean giants, because what are they, just blind? No, like they should have some dark
also
vision.
Give them like, imagine if one had like a net and like a trident.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Scary.
Like a giant
giant net where he throws traps, he just starts killing. That would be scary.
True. Okay.
Or give them shields. That would be cool.
Yeah, give them different weapons.
Give them like different stuff. And actually, normally giants would wear a breastplate, so that's 17 armor in the lore.
Not normally. No. They're stat block.
In the lore. I said the lore.
They wear scale mail.
Pay attention to the lore.
No.
Frick you, it's the lore.
I mean, you can give them whatever you want.
It's a breastplate.
You can give them whatever you want, but these are just like ways. These are not about changing the giant. These are about changing the rules of combat. Because like anything can punt you if it's giant. It's just not on the stat block because that's unnecessary. But just because it's not on the stat block doesn't mean it can't take those actions. So as a DM, homebrew those actions as possibilities for the giant to make the combat more interesting. But you don't have to change the rules. You don't have to change the giant to do this. Like, you can do that, but if you want to stick to the rules, you can still do all these things. I don't like changing the rules, because I think the rules are made by people smarter than me, so I respect those people. But you can always add things that would make sense. So these are some things to add. You have anything else for combat strategies?
No.
No. Okay.